space here within these pink walls is like a little literary festival set inside the larger book fair. Do you know what a book fair is? This is where the business of publishing happens. It's where publishers talk to authors, publishers talk to other publishers. It's where the world of books, all the business that's done, is done. This little oasis here is where the joy of writing, of authors, of storytelling is made manifest for you. And last night we had a fantastic poetry gala here. Somebody's talking to me. Poetry gala here with award-winning poets. We've had the former Secretary of State of the United States of America speaking here, John Kerry, who might have been running for the office of the President of the United States of America, but his friend Joe Biden has run, so he's not going to. How many of you here have a smartphone? How many of you here have an iPad or a tablet? How many of you here have an electrical device and you use, hands up if you use Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, some sort of social media? Right, you're in the right place. This world is the world of white noise, with 6 billion people talking, nobody doing the listening. We have for you today an extraordinary woman who is a communications specialist. And what she does for businesses, for businessmen, for people, is to show them how to have your voice heard when the world is full of people shouting and nobody listening. Is that something that might be of interest to you? If not now, but when you're looking for a job, or when you're reading an essay in class, or when you're trying to go to an interview, or when you're trying to get yourself heard above the noise. So Kim Page, who I'm going to introduce you to, is a communications expert who's helped thousands of professionals get their message across in multinational and local organizations. She teaches such skills as voice training, team building, active listening, body language, and much more, but focuses on helping people connect the skills they need to achieve the goals they're aiming for. Would you please, we're very honored to have her here. She's a resident of Dubai, but she's worked everywhere from San Francisco to Copenhagen to Barcelona to Norway. It's a real honor to be able to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Kim Page.
Hello. Hi. So happy to see you. Thanks for coming. And my book is called The Right Kind of Loud. So my first question is, can you all hear me nice and clear? Yeah? Thank you, because we've got some other sounds going on as well, right? So we'll have to really focus in to hear us. Yeah. I know a girl in Dubai. Her name is Elsa. She's 15 years old. And when I saw Elsa last time, I said, what is it like at school? What's happening for you? And she said, I'm supposed to choose all these electives right now. And then I asked her and I said, does it feel like whatever you're choosing now is going to be really important for the rest of your future? And she said, yes, it feels like I need to know exactly already now what I need to do. And this is going to affect my university degree and my whole career. Does this resonate? Is that a little bit like it feels like for you? So, inspired by her, I thought I want to talk to you a little bit about my journey. Because when I was 15 years old, and 18 years old, and 20 and 25, I had no idea what I wanted to do. But today I'm very successful, and I'm enjoying a career that's really, really cool. So, to start our journey, have you seen this fabulous slide? Yeah. It's me, all over, right kind of loud. So my wonderful book here came out last year. So this is about my 30th talk since then. So I've talked to a lot of beautiful audiences, and you can see it looks very fantastic. You know, all these different invitations. Up here is the book fair, right? And I don't know, but I'm thinking that you're probably feeling, oh my God, look at Kim. She's so successful. She knows everything. She's so composed. She has it all. A little bit. So the secret is, anytime we see somebody on a stage, or we read about somebody, or we discover somebody, This is actually what's behind it. On the top, you have the moment of seemingly spontaneous success. And then we have a lot of stuff underneath. Who here wants to read all the stuff that you see in the box, in the little iceberg? Who wants to read it? Yes, we have a girl here. Come. Yes, you're going to get the microphone. Oh, it's all right. Yes, you go on. You can read some of them. So what are you seeing there? Read it loud.
Okay, moment of seemingly spontaneous success.
Yeah, moment of seemingly spontaneous success. So what do you see inside the iceberg?
Okay, I see rejection,
Rejection,
quitting,
quitting,
crying,
crying. And what more?
famous, loss of friendships,
Loss of friendships.
jealousy,
Yeah. Yes.
network,
Thank-
emails,
Yes, thank you. And you will read some more for us.
Vulnerable emails in effort to network.
Yes,
Putting
we need some air on each line. If not, we can't hear them. So can you go again? Tell me. Which one?
Cancel dates.
Cancel dates. That's a little early for you guys. That's going to come in the future. You just wait. Yeah?
Vulnerable emails.
Yes, in effort to network. Yeah,
yes.
you're sending out these emails trying to reach people.
Then you're not famous enough to be famous.
Yes. And
And,
the sad emails to mom.
Emails to.
Sad emails to mom.
Oh yes, sad emails to mom. There have been a couple of those.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so as you can see, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, usually when we read somewhere, that's the tip of the iceberg and all this is underneath. Have you heard the expression, the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg before, so you know this? So, to give you my journey, when it comes to education, I love education, but I was very uncertain of what I wanted to do when I was young. So I think most of you know what a bachelor's degree is. It's the first university degree. It's supposed to take 3 years. So for me, it took 12 years. That's a long time. Yeah? I come from Norway, so in Norway, it's normal to have some breaks, but maybe not so long. Yeah? And then actually, something happened here. My master's degree, I started this when I was 42 years old, so that was a very long gap. And here's the different universities I studied at. That's not so important. But I wanted to share with you that although I didn't know when I was very young and I didn't complete very fast and the next one was much later, that's actually also possible. And it doesn't mean that we can't be successful. It's just a different kind of journey. And one of the reasons there were so many breaks and it took so long time is this. So I've lived in 3 continents. You can see the numbers up here. And when you move from city to city, Dubai is my 15th city to work and live in, and to find an apartment, and to figure out the visas, and to get new friends, and to get settled, and figure out where's the pharmacy, where's the library, where's the transport, all of that. When you have a life like this, career gets a little, it takes a little longer time. So if you think like the goal is to be very fast and having an early clarity of what you want to do, I would say my life is really not successful. But if you say that the goal is to learn so many things and to have friends all around the world and to discover and discover and discover and to keep learning, then I'm very successful. So it depends on how you see it. So when I was out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I'd been singing in some choirs. I liked going to the theater. So one of the first things I did was this. Do I still look like her? A little bit? You want to guess how old I am? How old do you think I am here? 19, 18, 19, yes. I'm just 19. And I'm actually sitting next to this guy, and we are part of the choir in an opera production. This was in the south of Sweden, And I was studying, this was the first time I studied, and my professor, he was a director at this opera, and we were invited, and they said, we don't have enough people in the choir, can you jump in? So this is me in the choir. It's a German opera called Die Tote Stadt by Korngold, very long time ago. So that was fun, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. Then I moved to Berlin, Germany, and I met a guitarist, and he made me a singer. This is from one of our first concerts. Me with very long hair. Do you want to guess how old I am here? What do you think? What do I look like? You're so good. I'm 23. It's perfect. 23, 24. Yeah. The guy in the background, his name was Gunnar from Sweden. He had heard me sing and he said, Kim, you have to sing. And I was very shy. I was like, no, I don't know. I don't know. But then he said, no, you have to sing. And I said, no, I don't want to. And then he said, but really, 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 Kim, you have to sing. I said, oh, okay, one day when I have a guitarist. Okay, good. When do you want to start practice? So because of him, we practiced and practiced. And this is in a backyard. And I was so nervous. I felt like I was going to faint. And at this concert, you don't see that, but there were some kids in front of us. And I sang to the children, and I kind of survived. And then I started studying a lot, and da-da-da. So during my 20s, I was a performer. I was singing, I was writing poetry, I was doing performance, I was on the stage a lot, doing different things. And then when I was around 30, I thought, time to become an adult. I need a career now. So I started teaching, started to become a trainer. And this is me and a group of teenagers about your age. They are about 13 to 15, 13 to 16. And we did theater productions together. And this is us from a tour. We're having a break. We're hanging out. It's very much fun. And most of these are now parents and they have children. They're adults. It's very strange when you've been with somebody and then suddenly that happens. So that was the beginning of my training career. I was a theater director. Does anybody know South Park? So I directed the Danish premiere of South Park, the musical, on stage. And one night, one of the girls couldn't make it, so I was stand-in. So that's me as Kylie's mom. Yeah, and it was very much fun. So I did this kind of work for a few years, and then I changed into the professional world. Because I realized right now I have a lot of educations in my hand, but I want to access more people, I want to meet more people. So I turned towards organizations because I realized there were some tools that I could help them with too. So this is me a few years later. This is in Spain, in Santiago de Compostela, and I'm having a workshop to help them innovate and think new things and get their message through. And right now I live in Dubai and I work with a lot of different adults. Very few times do I have the pleasure of young souls like you. Yeah, but I started with teenagers. So here's a picture from last year. This is me in Riyadh and a lot of bankers. And even bankers can be really interesting to work with. So when I come to them, I help them with their communication skills and all of that. So that is a little bit about my journey to get here today. And then last year, I gathered my different communication tools in this book, and it's called The Right Kind of Loud. This situation here is very, very special when it comes to loud because it's so many things going on, so you all have to fine-tune very much to make sure that you can hear me. So the right kind of loud means to find that approach that reaches your audience in exactly that situation. So there's no recipe for the right kind of loud. Sometimes, like right now, I'm tuning into the noise and trying to make sure I speak on top of it, and I'm looking very closely at you to make sure we're together. Sometimes the right kind of loud maybe is to wait. Maybe it's not the right time to talk to this person. Or sometimes giving the person a space, making a silence. So the right kind of loud, there's no standard thing. There's many things we need to do. that was supposed. So in this book, each chapter is like a tool. Can I ask you, at school, do you stand up and give presentations already? You do? Do you enjoy it? Yes? No. It's not so easy. Remember when you saw me on the stage when I was a singer, I was so nervous. We get better when we practice. So in my book, there's different tools. Sound right is about the voice as a communication tool, because the voice has a huge impact when we get through. And then move right is about all of this, body language. How do we stand? How do we breathe? Eye contact, all of this. And then there's a chapter about listening, which is one of the most important tools when it comes to making good connections. And of course, there's a chapter called Speak Right, which is about this, how to speak with your audience. And then we have Tell It Right, which is about how to find your stories inside in writing and get them out. And then it's a mixed one in the strategy part. And the last one is called Connect Right, and I take some tools for how to connect in the different cultures that I've lived. So that's inside the book. And for today, I thought I want to focus a little bit on one skill, and it's almost funny when I hear what's going on around us, because I want to focus for us a little moment right now on listening. And now comes the cute slide that we've already seen, but it is a really cute slide. So we're going to go back to the cutie one. It's me and my daddy. Isn't he cute? Yo. And me too, with a koala bear. And the reason I have him there, because I say listening is a lifetime practice. So I'm going to read to you a little story in my book about my father and about listening. Are you ready for that? Okay, good. Good. Because in this book, I have all the tools and the exercises, and then there are some stories about how I've been learning these tools as well. So, this little story is called Early Ear Openings, like opening the ear. Got it? I think I'm going to do this. Having the capacity to listen and take in the people we meet on our way is more than a skill set. It's a way of life. Growing up as the daughter of a musician, I was helped along to develop big ears from an early stage. Malcolm played the French horn at the opera, and distinguishing this sound among all the other instruments was one of the first things that I learned. One of the stories from my toddler days, toddler is when you're like before you really can go to kindergarten, is about me climbing up the stairs and suddenly putting the forefinger in front of my lips while calling, "Shh, Daddy." I was convinced that all the French horns in the world were blown from the lips, from his lips, and everyone should listen when he played. By the time I was a few years older, he would sometimes take me by the hand to trips to the city. We would visit the opera and do errands. To get there, we would use T-banen, the Oslo metro. And while walking through the metro corridors under Jernbanetorget, he would stop and talk to a man who was selling postcards from his wheelchair. To me, it was a mystery, my father talking to someone who could have been a stranger. But through their conversation, it was clear that the man in the wheelchair and my father had become friends. The air around them when they talked was filled with affection. They were sharing as two equals, and the moment was one of importance. I thought for many years what he was showing me that time was how to talk to strangers. Then one day I realized that what he was role modeling was a true listener's approach. And I'm sharing that with us here because very often I teach people who are working and they worked for a long time and they want to be promoted. They want to be what you call a C-suite or senior executives, or they want to be the boss. And very often they come to me and they say, I need more confidence. I need to become the big influencer. And I don't know if you know, but of all the different skills to get the right kind of loud and to connect with others, listening is one of the biggest ones. And today, of course, you are growing up with this, so you know it much better than I do in a way. But today, because we have our iPhones, we have all these screens, we have all these messages, and we have WhatsApps and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and emails, it's actually not so easy to really be listening. So what we're going to do now, I want you to talk to the person next to you for a little moment and think about what helps you listen. Because listening is hard. Like, what do you need? Do you have like a special tea that you drink, or do you think about something special? Do you remind yourself? So just talk to the girl or the boy next to you for a minute or two, and then I want to hear what helps you listen. Okay? Ready? You go together, you go together, you. Tick. You took, you took. You're all alone, my dear. What helps you listen? Okay. I'm going to give you some more time. You talk, everybody. It's okay. Can you take some pictures of your phone? Okay. It's a little strange. You weren't really expecting that. That's all right. So there's no right or wrong to this. I'm just curious, or what comes up for you when you think of listening. So can we have a microphone? Can we have a microphone? It's okay. I can take it. It's all right. So thank you. So what came up? What helps you listen? What came up for you? Who wants to say something? Tell me. Yes.
Yeah. What helps me listen is how the person's who's talking to me is, communicating, is expressing it. The expressions, the voice, the friendliness, that helps me listen.
Okay, thank you. Very good point. So note that all of you, when you're giving presentations, that you need to have a dynamic voice and be friendly and open. That helps the others to listen. What else came up for you about listening?
When the place is quiet and I can listen to.
Say it louder.
When the place is quiet and I can
Yes,
listen
when
to
the
him
place is
clearly.
quiet. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this space here is not the easiest one. Because we need to filter out all the sounds out there and stay focused here. And I'm sure you notice when you go into a mall or you go into a hotel lounge or you go into a restaurant or any kind of free area, very often there's actually quite loud music. In my Carrefour, in my city center, it's very loud music. So even if we don't think about it, actually in our bodies there's a lots of cells that are trying to handle that sound and then keep listening for the ones that we need. And that actually is very stressful. So the next slide is for all of us. No, it's not on the slide, but I'll tell you. And that, what I wanted to say is that silence is actually really, really helpful for us. When we come home, when we are in the car, when we are on the bus, just to sit and have a little bit of silence. So my next slide is actually just me. And remember, Paul in the beginning, he said, so you're very welcome to, with all the social media, to keep the social media noise, but that's afterwards. So for now, I'm curious, what do you want to know more about me? You know a little bit about my tools, you know a little bit about what I do. What do you want to know? Questions for me? No, sir.
I wanted to ask what inspired you to write the book.
What inspired me to write the book? Thank you. Yes. So, as you saw throughout my journey, I became a trainer. And then I started, first I did drama and singing, and then I started train organizations. So for many years, people said to me, Kim, you should write a book. And also I teach writing. Writing is one of my toolboxes. And I always thought, well, if I should write about what I do, I don't know enough to write a whole book about body language or a whole book about the voice or a whole book about listening. And I don't know, to be honest, why it took me so long. But that suddenly, one day I realized, if I combine some of them, I actually know enough. And then when I started writing, I thought, maybe I don't know enough really. So I wrote everything I knew about the first things. And then it became very, very, very long. Have you heard about editing? Yeah? So the first edit, I deleted almost half. Because I realized I know a lot, but everybody doesn't need to know it. So one of the best things about my book is very short and very crisp, and there are no repetitions. It's just very... So that's how I wrote this book. Yes. More questions that you're curious about for somebody who helps people get through. Yes? Daisy has a question.
I'm butting in on your session, I apologise. Kim,
Yes.
I would really love to know when I need to when I need to communicate something to somebody very, very quickly and I'm in a very, very busy situation,
Yes.
how do I select from my toolbox of communication methods?
Yes.
How do I select the right one? What cues are coming from the other person to help me communicate my message so that they will best understand it and act on it?
Whoa, very nice question. Let me make sure I understand it. Thank you, Daisy. If I'm hearing you correctly, you have a message for somebody. This somebody is over here, and he or she is super busy. So how can you make sure that you are getting through? Like, what is the cue you need to get from that person? Interesting. I don't think there's a recipe we can use for everybody for something like this. I think it differs. And actually, I think sometimes, if it's not the right moment, you can use curiosity and say, hey, I got something to say to me, tell me when is the right time. And that person is going to go, oh my God, she's not disturbing me, but oh my God, I'm so curious. So to create a suspense maybe, because if it's an important message, you don't want to say to somebody who's speaking, or you can see their mind is cluttered, that you don't want to compete with whatever is going on. So maybe say, I got something important for you, but just tell me when it's a good moment to talk. It's going to take 2 minutes. So maybe that, yes, or ask them, when is the right moment? Or if you know them, then you will know where to figure it in. But I think they say, I don't know, have you heard this, that attention is the new currency? Have you heard this? You know what attention is? You know what currency is? Yeah. So at one of my talks in Dubai last year, there was a young girl who said, attention is the new currency. And I Googled it. And boys and girls, when you Google attention is the new currency, it's like, boo, everywhere. And then I said, yes, and listening is fluid gold. Because it is so hard to find somebody who's really there. So Daisy, I think I gave you some tip, yes? Fantastic, good. What more are you curious to know from somebody like me? From somebody who's good at making connections? Yes, can we have the microphone to this girl here? Soha, go around. The microphone is coming, it's good. So our beautiful Soha is coming. Yeah, thank you so much, my dear. Beautiful. Yes.
Okay, so you've been to different countries and cities, right? So how did you adapt to their culture, practices, and other things that not familiar with you?
Thank you. So when you're new in a place, in a new country or in a new city, how do you adapt? How do you learn new things? I'm thinking. it's funny because it's almost the same, because the best thing you can do when you come to a new place is to get some really good conversations with some people and actually listen. Because when you are a good listener, I can tell you this is one of my secrets. When I come to a new place, I've had this, as you saw with my daddy, right, with him on my arm, I've practiced listening since I was very little. And so when you come to a place and you're curious and you have big eyes and you say, so what is it like here? And you just listen, somebody's going to get really excited to share with you. And so those in-depth stories, they're really going to help you. And then, of course, when you are new somewhere, you also have to be kind to yourself because you're going to make many mistakes. When you don't know how things are, you're going to be clumsy. So you're always going to be a little beginner. So, but I think the best way is actually to find some people that wants to share, and you will be surprised if you can just get that first initial connection. I'm so and so, you're so and so, and this, and here we are. And so, what is it like to be here? I've never been here before. And the funny thing is, everybody loves talking about themselves, and they love to share their experience. And if you are humble and you say, I'm new, I don't know, they will share. So I think that's one of the keys. And then to be kind to yourself and know that you're going to make mistakes. And then suddenly you know it. And then when others are new, like, yeah, I can tell you how it is, because then you know. It's like a journey. Yeah. Okay? Gotcha. What more questions do you have? To help you along, I can tell you that in a way, what I do, I help professionals get to their next levels, but on a very basic level is what I really help people is how to make other people like them. Because if we can't make other people like us, we will not have good connections. And it doesn't really matter if you are inside a big organization or if you have your own company, because in both cases you cannot do work yourself. You have to have somebody who wants to help you with things, and you have to make people like you. I'm just checking time, we got a few minutes left. So you can also, do you watch the TEDx talks and the TED Talks? Yeah? If you go to TEDx or to Google, YouTube, one more time. If you go to YouTube and you put in Kime Page, the right kind of loud, then actually, I just want to have my other one up here so that we can see that one, yeah. In case you want to do something on your phones afterwards. So if you go to YouTube and you put Kime Page, right kind of loud TEDx, you can see my TEDx. If you want to. I did a TEDx last year in Dubai for teenagers a little bit older than you, high school. You're still not in high school, are you? Okay, they are in high school, okay. With all respect. Yes. Some of you are soon. So I did a talk at a high school last year, and then I talk about how to use the right kind of loud to connect and to make people like you. Anything else that you're dying to know from somebody who's written the right kind of loud? Any questions about your voice, your confidence, how to make people like you? Or are you all good? Are you all satisfied? You got a little... Did you know that there exists a job called communication expert, and then somebody can help you with this? Maybe new? Last question from the crowd. Okay. Okay, good. So, promise me that you remember... Oh, we have a question here. Yes. Fantastic. Yes.
Hello, I just wanted to know how to remove stage fear.
How to remove stage fear. What a good question. Thank you. So remember I told you that when I started, you saw this photo of me when I was singing. I was so afraid. I remember just after that, we had a concert and I had a dress. And I thought it probably looks like a sail, because my knees were shivering so much. I thought it looks like I'm sailing. So I was very nervous. And I can tell you, every time you see somebody on stage and they're good, it is because they have practiced. It is not something that you're born with. It's something you learn and practice, just like driving a car. There's a slight exception. If you are raised in the United States of America, they have a slight advantage. Because in that culture, it's so much part of their culture to stand and represent your club, your family, your company, your neighborhood. And it's a culture when you are supposed to talk very well about yourself and say, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. I come from Norway, and Norway is supposed to be very humble. You're not supposed to say you're good at anything. So for me, it's much more difficult. And probably for some of us here. So the way to get better is to practice. And then maybe sometimes if you have something you're especially curious about, you can have what I call an audience ally. So if I'm going to practice a talk, and I know I'm really nervous because I know that I usually speak too fast. Most people speak very fast when they go on stage because the nerves speed us up. So I can say, can you please sit in the audience for me and just watch my speed and give me some feedback afterwards? And then I have somebody who's going to help me, and then afterwards I get feedback. And then, of course, you can take courses, and you can have coaching and training. And also, one very good way of getting better up here is to start noticing when you are in the audience yourself. What do I like? What is distancing for me? What is boring for me? What makes me stop listen? Where do I lose my attention? What is so exciting? I can't leave it. I just want to hear more. What is the things that really work for me? And then when you start noticing that, you can bring that. But just like with most skills, practice. And please remember, everybody, all of you here, you are amazing, impactful speakers. The moment is just waiting for you to find your speaking voice. There's nothing, and you don't need to try to be like Obama or like, Sheikh Zayed or like somebody else. It's about us becoming who we are. So all of us have that. On the first night that I came here, I saw Ziauddin Yousafzai. He's the father of Malala. Everybody knows Malala. Right? She's one of the biggest speakers in the world today. She's very young. So she had the tools, and she had the need, and she had the support to find her voice. So all of us are very good speakers, and nobody else knows your stories better. So for all of us, it's accessible. Okay? I think that's a good ending note for all of us. Just double checking. Yeah? I don't know if you're here to buy books. If you want to, my book is outside. Yeah. And promise me that you keep listening and keep connecting with each other, okay? And give yourself a good applause for being such a great audience.